This is what's trending now on the Lady and the Dawn podcast.
In a story that seems somewhat bizarre and somewhat suspect from the beginning, Amber Guyger was convicted today of murder.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The jury having reached a verdict, Ms. Guyger and your team, would you please stand? We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Amber Guyger, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment. No outburst.
Now, I did not think that she would be convicted of murder. If you're not sure who Amber Guyger is, let me tell you, she is the police officer who came home one day, and after a long day of work, she didn't realize that she was in the wrong apartment. In fact, she was in the apartment that was above her own apartment. When she went into this apartment, she says that she seen a large figure come towards her. She had a gun. She pulled her gun. She shot twice. She missed once, hit the man in the chest. Turned out it was not her apartment. It was someone minding his own business in the apartment above her. She wound up murdering this person as convicted, so I could say murdered, but she shot and killed this man. Now, it was suspect whether she would get convicted. I did not, from the beginning, think she would be convicted. I thought she was going to get let off, but she was convicted, and that's a blessing to me. But Elamar, when you heard about this case from the beginning, did you think that she would be convicted of murder?
I wasn't sure because it at first seemed like really an unfortunate situation. She was, after, I think it said 13 and a half hours of work. She had some personal issues. It turns out that she was on the phone texting and doing different things. So all the things pointed out that they may let her off with a very light sentence. But again, we have to look at the story, of the person who died in it and his family. So I wasn't sure. I was feeling sorry for her, and I was feeling terribly sorry for the family and for the man who died.
Yeah, so let's break it down a little bit. So this is, and I hate to say this, but obviously race always comes into a factor, especially when we're dealing with things in America. She's a white woman who is a police officer. When she was coming home, she had all of her equipment, like 20 pounds or maybe 30 pounds of gear, all in her one arm, but yet she had her other hand free that was on the side of her gun. When she went to this person's house, this was a black man. She said that she tried to use her key to get inside the door, but the door was already cracked open. So she heard noises. So she said she suspected somebody being inside. She pulled out her gun. She says that she told the person to put their hands up. She couldn't see exactly what it was because it was dark. She claimed that there was a body lunging towards her. That's why she shot, and that's why she killed the person. Now, I thought that was a suspect story from the beginning, but usually when we have these stories, especially in the United States of America, I have really never seen many cops get convicted of killing anyone. I think it's a really good sign that she was convicted of killing, not just killing, because they gave her a manslaughter, was an option for the jury to find her guilty of manslaughter. They also gave her another way that I thought she was going to get out when they did issue this, and the judge is the one who issued this. Now, let me say again that this judge was a black woman, so I don't want people thinking it was a white judge trying to get her off. It was a black woman judge, and she ruled that the jury could consider the Castle Doctrine in this murder trial. Now, the Castle Doctrine, if you don't know what that means, long story short, it means you have the right to protect your castle. All right. So it means that it's a stand your ground law, so that she would have the right to shoot somebody if she thought that person was violating her castle, meaning her space, her place of residence. And if she had, and even though it was not her apartment, which I thought was very suspect.
Yeah.
Because it's not her apartment, right? So you're having someone break into someone else's castle, but then use the Castle Doctrine to defend herself with.
Yeah, there was what was making me kind of confused about if she's actually going to be freed and acquitted of all the charges is they kept saying that the apartments looked really the same. It was very confusing, apparently not just for her, but for other people who lived in that building. And they kept stressing it was exactly above her apartment, not on the 3rd floor, but on the 4th floor. And I think they were getting maybe, I'm not sure, witnesses or just testimony of other people that everything looked the same, and if she actually paid attention to what she was doing, she would have known where she's at. She would know her surroundings. She would know that. What surprised me is that they actually put into. I don't know if they were trying to make her be excused from the situation because she was distracted by. There was a situation in it where she was actually texting with her. I think it was her work partner, that she admitted to having an affair with, and she was distracted. So they said if she actually paid attention, not texted the explicit messages between each other, she would know where she's at. She would catch all the signs that this is not her floor, this is not her apartment, but she was distracted in those 13 and a half hours. But even though they listed all that, maybe, like I said, they wanted to use her distraction as something to get her not be convicted. They actually used that as, saying, hey, you're having an affair. So what kind of person are you, in a way? They added that. So I guess it backfired with her.
Yeah, they tried to say that she's saying that she did not think, she thought it was her apartment. She didn't realize. But the guy had a red welcome mat on the outside of his door. And I'm from Queens, New York. I grew up in an apartment. And in every apartment building, every apartment looks the same, the outside of the door. It's all the same aesthetics. It's never different. That's the way it is in every apartment building. Everyone's door and doorway looks the same, and from floor to floor, apartments on one top of each other, it's all the exact same units. So people saying that has happened, and this is what the prosecutor said when they brought people on the witness stand, and the people were like, yes, I have walked into other people's apartments before. And then the prosecutor said during cross-examination, but did you shoot that person when you realized you were in the wrong apartment? And they all said no. And then he was like, all right, this person's dismissed. So it's really the actions. Because if you didn't realize, if you thought this was your apartment and you walked in and you heard something inside the apartment, she has all this training. As a cop, you're supposed to be trained to use your surroundings, to notice everything around you. But you didn't notice the red mat that was on the floor. But you used your training enough to make sure that you had your weapon hand ready to cocked and fired, right? So she used her training when she felt like using it, and she used it when it was appropriate for her. In this story, it seemed like that's when she used her training. But when it didn't benefit her, then all of a sudden she wasn't using her training. So I thought that was suspect from the beginning. And also, she said that he lunged at her, but the jury said that he was eating ice cream on his couch. He was sitting there eating ice cream, watching Thursday Night Football. Yeah. So whether he lunged at her or not, and it's the way the bullet entered the body, they were trying to say that it was because he lunged, but the forensic person said no, it's more consistent of someone standing up. So she probably came in this dude's apartment, yelled, he was getting up to see what was happening, and then she shot twice. One missed him and one hit him. And then another thing I think that really got her convicted and made the jury have no choice but to convict her, which they should have. They did a good job on that, was the fact that she didn't even try to help this man. Exactly. As soon as she shot him, I think she administered CPR with one hand. Like, she didn't even use two hands, right? She used CPR with one hand for like a minute and then left.
Oh, and she actually said something that she was when there was a recording of her calling for help. She, instead of I guess the way she reacted, she was just talking about losing her job, that this is gonna get her fired. So this is not the first thing people normally would think. Like, this is, oh my God, there's a man dying in front of me. Not like, I'm gonna lose my job over this. Like, really, what is your priority, lady? Your job or this man's life?
Exactly, because if you're a truck driver and you're driving your truck and you hit somebody and kill them, I don't think your first thing is going to say, am I going to lose my license? Your first thing you're going to say is, oh my God, is this person all right? And that's what you're thinking. But obviously, the fact that she was more concerned about her job, and she knew she was wrong of what she did, because they put her on the witness stand, and they always say that if you have to testify in your own defense, that's the last thing you do. And they put her up there, and she gave this really emotional, she's crying her eyes out testimony. Let's roll to the testimony footage right here.
First of all, when you were walking down that hall, I want you to show the jury how you carry this equipment, okay?
she's emotional. She killed somebody. Either way, it's not like, she's a cold-blooded killer. I don't know, because there was a lot of crying, and she actually said that she doesn't deserve to be with her family. So she actually admitted to that in the statements that she said. But obviously, I don't think she wanted to be, put away. But just saying that she doesn't deserve to be with her family and friends, I don't know what that means to anybody else. Maybe she was trying to get a lighter sentence by saying that she feels sorry and not worthy.
When you go take the stand in your own defense, it's a very coordinated situation. As I said, you're not supposed to take the stand in your own defense, or to keep your mouth shut during the whole thing. But that is the last line of defense. That's when everything's going wrong. And you're like, all right, we're going to put this person on the stand and see if they could sway the jury with their own testimony. And they used the crocodile tears for that testimony. And you can see exactly how they were trying to portray this with her, because when she got arrested, her hair was very dark. But as soon as the trial started, she dyed her hair really blonde. She tried to look very innocent. Like, oh my gosh, she gets on there. I wish, and she's crying. I wish it would have been him that had the gun and shot me. And all this. As I said, these people, when they take the stand, they have been coached on what to say by the lawyers. They know exactly what they're going up there. They have been coached on what questions that the prosecution is going to ask them. And that's what happened. So, but it backfired on them. It did not work. The jury did not buy it, even though the judge tried to give her another way out with the castle doctrine. The jury did not buy that either. And it's a big statement, I think, to all police officers who have done wrong in this world, especially this country, United States of America, that you can be convicted of murder. And it's really big that she was convicted of murder, that you can be convicted of murder. You can't just go inside somebody's house and shoot them and kill them and think you're going to get off. A lot of cops have gotten off on a lot of different things. So I think it sends a really good message to society that you can't get away, especially the police in this society, that we're not going to tolerate you getting away with killing innocent civilians anymore.
Exactly. And with that courtroom, I think in the article it said that the jury was not just in case somebody says, what about the jury? It was mostly women, and it said I think composed of women and people of color. That's how they worded it here. So there's no doubt that there was a guy or somebody saying this was something that was set up. There was a setup or anything. It was her peers.
Yeah, and it was a unanimous jury, and it didn't take them on to 2 days to get to that. Yeah. So I guess we wait for sentencing. How long is she facing? 5
to 99 years.
5 to 99 years. So it comes down to this: what she's facing. Will she get the appropriate time, or will she get the slap on the wrist? I think that's what it comes down to. And if the judge gives her a slap on the wrist, she ruins this whole process. So let's just hope that she gets what she deserves. I'm not saying she should spend the rest of her life in jail. A lot of people do when you kill someone. This man's never coming back. So a life for a life, an eye for an eye, it could be. But she's got to do at least 20 years in my book. She needs 20 years of her life has to be taken away from her.
Yeah.